6 months had passed since the USS Intrepid's strange meeting with the alien ship. News of the encounter spread quickly across Earth and its colonies. People everywhere talked about what it meant, but no one had answers. The aliens had come, scanned a human ship, and then left in a hurry. No one knew why. Dr. Alan Wright walked through the long hallways of Earth's Unified Science Directorate in Chicago. He was the head xenobiologist, a scientist who studied alien life. Until recently, his job had been mostly theoretical. Now it was the most important job in the world. He entered the main lab where his colleague, Dr. Olivia Carter, was studying data from 3 more alien encounters that had happened since the first one. Each time, the pattern was the same. Alien ships would approach a human vessel, scan it, and then retreat with signs of damage or confusion. Any progress? Alan asked, setting down 2 cups of coffee on the desk. Olivia looked up from her screens, dark circles under her eyes showing she hadn't slept much. Thanks for the coffee, and yes, I think I'm onto something. She pointed to a series of readings. Look at these scan patterns from all 4 alien encounters. They're different technologies, probably from different species, but they all failed. In similar ways, Alan studied the data. It's like they're getting contradictory readings. Exactly, Olivia said, excitement in her voice. But here's the interesting part. I don't think their equipment is actually failing. I think they're getting accurate readings, but the readings don't make sense to them. Alan sat down, thinking hard. What if it's something about humans that's causing the problem? Something in our biology that's different from other life forms? Over the next few weeks, Alan and Olivia developed a new theory. They called it quantum human exceptionalism. They presented it at a special meeting with government and military leaders. Olivia stood before the group, pointing to slides on a large screen. We believe that humans exist in what could be called a state of quantum superposition when observed by non-human technology. General Frank Peters frowned. In simple terms, please, Doctor. Sorry, Olivia said. Basically, we think the human brain and nervous system, which evolved on Earth under very specific conditions, create special electromagnetic fields. When alien technology tries to read these fields, it sees contradictory information. Alan stepped forward. Think of it like this. Humans can be brave and afraid at the same time. We can be logical and emotional. We can want peace but prepare for war. Most life forms might lean strongly one way or another, but humans exist in the middle, shifting back and forth. And alien technology can't process that? Asked the Secretary of Defense. Exactly, Alan said. The more advanced their scanning technology, the worse the problem gets. It's like trying to measure something that changes depending on how you look at it. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, the Galactic Council of Elder Species had called an emergency meeting. Representatives from 27 advanced civilizations gathered in a massive chamber. They were discussing the strange species newly discovered in a small, out-of-the-way corner of the galaxy. Admiral Krell of the Dravak Empire pounded his large armored fist on the council table. The Dravak were a warrior species resembling large reptiles with metallic scales. These humans must be hiding something, he shouted. Our best scanning technology fails when directed at their ships. Why? What weapons are they concealing? I propose we contain them now before they spread further. A soft musical voice responded. It belonged to Ambassador Letha of the Aluthi, a peaceful race of tall, slender beings with pale blue skin. Perhaps we are approaching this wrong, she suggested. Not everything is a threat, Admiral. Has it occurred to you that we could simply talk to them? Ask them questions instead of trying to dissect them with our technology? Talk? Krell sneered. While they prepare for war, 4 of our ships have encountered them. All 4 had system failures when scanning them. That cannot be coincidence. I agree it is not coincidence, said Trell Kovar of the Zentari, whose people had made the first contact. But it may not be deliberate either. Our scientists believe there is something fundamentally different about human biology and psychology. They seem to exist in multiple states simultaneously. The debate continued for hours. Some species wanted to isolate humans until they were understood. Others suggested making formal contact. A few, like the Dravak, pushed for containment through military force. In the end, they reached a compromise. They would continue to observe humans from a distance. Direct scanning would be limited to prevent further equipment damage, and they would send disguised probes to human colonies to learn more. Back on Earth, Alan and Olivia continued their research. They didn't know about the Galactic Council, but they suspected humans weren't alone in the universe anymore. "If our theory is right," Alan said one evening as they reviewed new data, "then the more aliens try to understand us through technology, the more confused they'll get." Olivia nodded. "It's not that we're special, necessarily. We just evolved differently. Earth had such rapid climate changes and diverse environments that we had to become adaptable in ways other species might not have needed to, which means," Alan continued, "that direct contact might be the only way for them to understand us, and for us to understand them." Their conversation was interrupted when their lab assistant rushed in. "Doctors, we just got word from the colony." On Mars, they spotted something in orbit, a small object that seemed to be watching the colony. When they sent a ship to investigate, it disappeared. Alan and Olivia exchanged looks. "They're studying us," Alan said quietly. "Just as we would study them," Olivia replied. "The question is, what will they do when they realize they can't figure us out with their technology?" Across the galaxy, that exact question was causing increasing concern. Most species had relied on their advanced technology to assess new life forms for thousands of years. Humans were the first species they couldn't simply scan and categorize. In his private chambers, Trell Kovar of the Zentari reviewed the latest reports from the observation probes. The data was fascinating but troubling. Humans were advancing quickly, building more ships, expanding to more planets, and they were still completely unreadable to standard scanning technology. "Perhaps," he said to himself, "we should make official contact before fear drives some of the more aggressive council members to take action." He didn't know it yet, but events at Proxima Centauri, the closest star system to Earth, would soon force that decision. The stars shined bright against the dark emptiness of space as the USS Intrepid moved slowly through its patrol route. Captain Susan Miller sat in her command chair on the bridge, watching the main screen with calm eyes. It was her 5th year. As captain, and most days were the same. Check the outer colonies, show the flag, and return home. "Status report, Mr. Ryan," she said to her first officer. Paul Ryan looked up from his station. "All systems normal, Captain. We're on course for the Arcturus checkpoint. Should arrive in about 3 hours." Susan nodded and took a sip of her coffee. The Intrepid was a mid-size battleship with a crew of 320, not the biggest in the fleet, but with enough firepower to make trouble for anyone looking for a fight. Humans had been moving out into space for almost 100 years now, building colonies on distant planets. So far, they hadn't found any other intelligent life, but space was very big, and their part of it was very small. Today, that was about to change. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Linda Gomez, the sensor officer. Her fingers moved quickly over her screen. "There's an object approaching from the Arcturus sector. It's moving fast." "Put it on screen," Susan ordered, sitting up straighter. The main screen changed to show a distant point of light growing larger. As they watched, the object became clearer. It wasn't like any ship Susan had ever seen. The shape was smooth and curved, almost like something alive rather than built. A strange blue-green light pulsed across its surface in a rhythm that reminded Susan of a heartbeat. "Is it one of ours?" Susan asked, though she already knew the answer. "No, Captain," said Ryan, his voice tight. "It doesn't match any known design. It's not human." A heavy silence fell over the bridge as everyone realized what that meant. After a century of space travel, humanity was about to have its first contact with aliens. "All hands to battle stations," Susan ordered. "But no aggressive moves. Let's see what they want first." Alarm bells rang throughout the ship as crew members rushed to their posts. Weapon systems came online, shields powered up, and every sensor on the Intrepid focused on the strange ship. They're slowing down, Gomez reported, holding position about 10,000 kilometers away. Open a channel, Susan said. All frequencies. Channel open, said Joe Foster at Communications. Susan stood up, straightened her uniform, and spoke clearly. This is Captain Susan Miller of the Earth vessel USS Intrepid. We come in peace and welcome contact with your people. They waited. Seconds stretched into minutes with no response. They're doing something, Gomez suddenly said, her eyes wide. Some kind of energy beam is headed our way. Weapons? Ryan asked sharply. No, I don't think so. It's not powerful enough. Looks more like a scanner of some kind. Susan relaxed, slightly. Scanning was normal. It was what any careful ship would do when meeting someone new. Let them look. Keep our weapons ready, but don't target them. The alien beam touched the hull of the Intrepid, spreading over it like water. On their sensors, it appeared as a gentle wash of energy, probing but not harmful. Then things got weird. On board the alien vessel, Chief Science Officer Zin Kalor was having the worst day of his career. The Zentari had been exploring this section of the galaxy for decades, cataloging new worlds and occasionally finding simple life forms. When they detected the human ship, they followed standard first contact protocols. Observe from a distance, scan for technology level and biological makeup, then decide whether to make contact. But as soon as their scanning beam touched the human ship, Zin Kalor's instruments began to behave strangely. At first he thought it was a simple malfunction. Then the data started coming in and he realized it was much worse. This can't be right, he muttered, his three eyes blinking rapidly in confusion. Run the scan again. His assistant, Vel Turax, adjusted the controls. The scanners are working. Correctly, sir. But the readings, they don't make sense. The screen in front of them showed impossible results. According to their highly advanced technology, humans were simultaneously extremely evolved and surprisingly primitive. Their brains showed patterns that suggested both high logic and wild irrationality. Their bodies were both fragile and remarkably resilient. Their technology was both crude and ingeniously practical. What about their weapons systems? Asked Captain Drenvalak, who had joined them at the science station. That's the strangest part, Zin Kalor said, pointing to another screen. According to this, they are both heavily armed and completely peaceful. Look at the psychological profile. Capable of extreme violence one moment and extraordinary compassion the next. It's as if they exist in multiple states at once. Smoke began to rise from the scanning console. Alarms blared across the Zentari ship as systems overloaded, trying to process the contradictory data. Cut the scan, Zin Kalor shouted as his equipment began to spark and sizzle. Something is very wrong with these creatures. Back on the Intrepid, Susan and her crew noticed the alien beam suddenly disappear. They've stopped scanning us, Gomez reported, looking confused. And their ship seems to be having some problems. I'm detecting power fluctuations and what might be internal damage. Susan frowned. Did we do something to them? Not that I can tell, Captain, Ryan said. Our systems didn't react to their scan. We just let them look. The alien ship backed away slowly, then turned and accelerated quickly, disappearing into the depths of space. They're running away, Foster said in disbelief. We didn't even do anything. Susan stared at the empty space where the alien ship had been, feeling a mixture of disappointment and curiosity. Send a full report to Earth Command. Include every detail of the encounter. What the crew of the Intrepid didn't know was that across the alien ship the Zentari were having an emergency meeting. We need to warn the others, Captain Drenvalak said gravely. These humans, they're not like any species we've encountered before. It's not just that they're different, Zin Kalor added, still trying to make sense of the corrupted data. It's that they seem to break the rules of how life should work. It's as if they exist in a state of quantum superposition, multiple contradictory states at once. What do you suggest? Asked the captain. Zin Kalor looked at the smoking remains of his scanning equipment and made a decision that would shape Interstellar relations for centuries to come. Stay away from them, he said firmly. And whatever you do, never ever scan their ships again. The first contact was over, but the mystery of humanity was just beginning. 5 years had passed since first contact. Humans had built more ships and spread to more star systems. The colony on Proxima Centauri, the closest star to Earth's sun, had grown to over 50,000 people. They had built farms, factories, and a small defense fleet to protect them. Lieutenant Commander Jack Daniels stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the stars through the main viewport. The Defiance was one of 3 battleships protecting the Proxima Centauri colony. Jack had been in space for most of his career, but the sight of stars without Earth's atmosphere to dim them still amazed him. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said Captain Nancy Wilson, coming to stand beside him. "Yes, ma'am," Jack replied. Hard to believe there are other people out there looking at the same stars. They hadn't seen any aliens in the Proxima Centauri system, but everyone knew they were out there. The strange encounters had continued over the years. Some alien ships just watched from a distance. Others approached, tried to scan human vessels, then left quickly when their equipment gave strange results or broke down. "Message from Colony Control," said Communications Officer Sam Green. "They've detected an unknown ship entering the system." Captain Wilson straightened her uniform. "Put it on screen." The main screen showed a sleek vessel approaching. It looked like the ship from the first contact years ago, organic in shape with a pulsing blue-green light across its surface. "It's a Centauri ship," Wilson said. Though no official contact had been made, humans had learned to identify different alien vessels. "What do they want this time?" "They're broadcasting a message," Green reported. "Audio only. Let's hear it," Wilson ordered. A calm, slightly musical voice filled the bridge. "Greetings, human vessel. This is Science Vessel Zentar 9 of the Zentari Collective. We request permission to conduct non-invasive research scans of your ship and nearby space. Our equipment has been specially modified to prevent the issues experienced in previous encounters." Wilson looked at Jack. "What do you think, Commander?" Jack frowned. "I don't like it, Captain. The last 3 alien ships that scanned us had system failures. What if they think we're doing it deliberately? What if their equipment fails again, and they see it as an attack?" Wilson considered this, but shook her head. "Orders from Earth Command are clear. We allow approved scans, but keep weapons ready just in case. They want to learn more about these aliens, and this might help." She nodded to Green. "Send them approval." The Zentari ship moved closer. On its bridge, Chief Scientist Trell Cover supervised final preparations for the scan. This was his project, a specially designed multiphasic quantum resonance scanner that had successfully analyzed 302 other sentient species. "The humans have given their approval," his assistant reported. "Begin the scan," Trell Kovar ordered. "Keep power levels low at first." The scanner activated, sending invisible waves of energy toward the human ship. On the Defiance, the crew didn't notice anything. "They've started scanning us," reported the sensor officer. "No effect on our systems." On the Zentari ship, Trell Kovar watched the first data come in. It showed the same contradictory readings as before. Humans registered as both highly emotional and strictly logical. Their technology appeared both crude and ingenious, but this time his equipment was handling it. "Increase scan power," he ordered. "Let's see if we can get a clearer picture." As the scanner intensified, strange things began to happen. The contradictions in the data grew stronger, not weaker. The readings suggested humans existed in multiple states of being simultaneously, like nothing they had ever encountered. "This can't be right," Trell Kovar muttered. "Increase power again. We need to break through this interference." On the Defiance, alarms suddenly blared. "Captain," shouted the sensor officer, "they've intensified their scan. It's causing some kind of reaction in our ship's quantum field generators." The lights flickered. Jack gripped a railing to steady himself. "I knew this was a bad idea." "Hold." "Position," Wilson ordered. "Don't take any aggressive action." She turned to communications. "Warn them to stop the scan. It's affecting our systems." Before Green could send the message, the view screen showed a bright flash from the Zentari ship. Not weapons fire, but internal systems overloading. On the Zentari vessel, chaos erupted. The scanning equipment wasn't just giving bad readings now. It had created a feedback loop that sent contradictory data surging back through their own systems. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks. The ship's main power grid fluctuated wildly. "Shut it down," Trelkovar shouted, but it was too late. The damage spread from the science labs to engineering, then to life support. "We're losing power," his assistant reported, voice tight with fear. "Life support failing." The Zentari ship began to drift, its beautiful blue-green lights fading to a dull glow. On the Defiance, Wilson watched with concern. "What just happened?" "Their scan backfired somehow," Jack said. "Looks like they're in serious trouble." Wilson didn't hesitate. "Prepare rescue teams. We're going to help them." Jack stared at her. "Captain, they were scanning us without permission. This could be a trick. Or they could be dying over there," Wilson replied firmly. "These are the first aliens we've had a chance to actually meet. I'm not going to let them die if we can help it. Prepare the teams." Within minutes, shuttles launched from the Defiance, carrying rescue teams in spacesuits. They docked with the Zentari vessel and found the alien crew struggling to restore power. The Zentari were shocked when humans entered their ship offering help, not threats. Working together, the human and Zentari crews managed to restore emergency power and life support. Medical teams from both ships treated the injured. Trelkovar, nursing a burned arm, found himself talking with Captain Wilson in what remained of his ship's bridge. "Why did you help us?" he asked. "Our scan damaged your ship." "Not badly," Wilson said. "And helping others in trouble is what we do. Wouldn't you have done the same?" Trelkovar considered this. "I would like to think so, but many species would have seen our failure as an opportunity." Later, when the immediate crisis was over, Trelkovar reviewed what was left of the scan data. It showed something remarkable. During the crisis, humans had displayed both calculated risk assessment and emotional compassion. They had helped beings who might have been enemies, risking their own lives in the process. "I think I understand now," he told his surviving crew. "The reason our scans fail is because humans cannot be understood through technology alone. They are living contradictions. Dangerous and kind, logical and emotional, simple and complex." Word of the incident spread quickly through the galaxy. The humans had saved a Zentari crew that had been effectively spying on them. This only deepened the mystery of humanity, a species that could not be understood by the most advanced technology, yet showed mercy to those who might wish them harm. News of the Proxima Centauri incident spread quickly through the galaxy. The story of humans rescuing aliens who had been studying them captured the imagination of many species. But it also raised serious concerns. 2 months after the incident, the Galactic Council met again. This time, the Grand Chamber was packed with representatives from over 50 species. The Zentari report on the failed scan and subsequent rescue had been shared with all major spacefaring civilizations. "We must take action," declared Admiral Krell of the Dravak Empire, his scaled skin reflecting the light as he gestured dramatically. "The humans nearly destroyed a Zentari science vessel with no weapons at all, just by being scanned. They are clearly too dangerous to be allowed free access to space." Ambassador Letha of the Aluthi raised a slender blue hand. "And yet, when the ship was disabled, they rushed to help. Would a dangerous species do that?" "Perhaps it was a clever trick," Krell suggested. "A way to gain access to Zentari technology." Trelkovar, now promoted to senior scientist, shook his head. "Our investigation showed no evidence of that. The humans shared their medical technology freely to help our injured. They asked for nothing in return." After 3 days of heated debate, the Council reached a historic decision. They passed Resolution 7293B, a moratorium on all technological scanning of human vessels, personnel, or settlements. It was the first time in the Council's 50,000-year history that they had forbidden the scientific study of any sentient species. On Earth, the revelation that a galactic government existed caused both excitement and worry. President Laura Garcia called an emergency session of the United Nations Space Assembly. Representatives from all human colonies attended, either in person or through secure video links. Fellow citizens of Earth and her colonies, President Garcia began, her voice strong despite the pressure of the moment. We have received official communication from what calls itself the Galactic Council. They have informed us that they have banned the scanning of human ships or settlements using their technology. Murmurs filled the assembly hall. Garcia continued, while we might take some pride in knowing that we remain a mystery to our galactic neighbors, we must also recognize the fear this creates. A species that cannot be understood is a species that will be treated with caution, perhaps even hostility. She turned to where Dr. Alan Wright and Dr. Olivia Carter sat. Our scientists have been working on understanding why alien technology fails when scanning us. Dr. Carter, would you please share your findings? Olivia stood and walked to the podium. 5 years of research had taken a toll on her, but her eyes still burned with curiosity and excitement. Thank you, Madam President. Our research team has been working with several alien scientists who chose to ignore the scanning ban and collaborate with us directly. Instead of relying on their scanning technology, they've used old-fashioned observation and conversation. She activated a display showing brain scans of humans compared to the few alien species willing to share their medical data. Earth's unique evolutionary path created something remarkable in humans. Most planets with intelligent life have had relatively stable environments for millions of years. Earth did not. We had ice ages, meteor strikes, rapid climate shifts, and countless natural disasters. She showed a timeline of Earth's turbulent history. Most species evolved to excel in one environment. Humans evolved to adapt to constant change. This created a brain that exists in multiple potential states simultaneously. We don't just adapt to environments. We shift our entire way of thinking depending on the situation. The assembly listened in fascinated silence as she continued. When alien technology scans us, it tries to categorize us according to fixed patterns they've seen in other species. But humans don't fit those patterns. We're logical and emotional, peaceful and violent, selfish and selfless, often at the same time. Their technology tries to resolve these contradictions and fails. Back in her lab later that week, Olivia worked late with her alien colleagues. One of them, a Zentari named Mek Lorath, examined data from psychological tests they had run on human volunteers. It's fascinating, Mek Lorath said. When faced with a crisis, humans can calculate cold probabilities while simultaneously feeling intense emotions. Most species do one or the other. Olivia nodded. Humans compartmentalize. We can think about problems in multiple ways at once. It's not always a good thing. It can make us inconsistent, but it makes us very adaptable. Across the galaxy, rumors about humans grew wild. Some said they were artificial constructs designed by some ancient vanished species. Others claimed they were partly from another dimension. The most extreme theories suggested humans were actually a weapon system disguised as a sentient species. The truth was both simpler and more complex. Humans were just the product of an unusually challenging evolutionary path. But that path had created beings that existed partially outside the conceptual framework of other intelligent species. Admiral Susan Miller, promoted after her first contact experience years ago, now commanded Earth's first diplomatic vessel, the USS Emissary. As she prepared for humanity's first official meeting with the Galactic Council, she reflected on how strange it all was. We spent centuries wondering if we were alone in the universe, she told her first officer, Commander Ryan. Now we know we're not alone, but we're definitely weird. Ryan laughed. The aliens are the weird ones, who rely so completely on technology that they can't understand another species without it. That's exactly the problem, Miller replied more seriously. They've relied on their scanners and sensors for so long that they've forgotten how to understand others through simple interaction. They analyze instead of experiencing. She looked out at the stars, thinking about the challenging diplomatic mission ahead. Maybe that's what we can offer them, she said quietly. A reminder that some things can't be understood by looking from the outside. Sometimes you have to get involved, take risks, make connections. Meanwhile, Across the galaxy, fear of humans began to shift slowly into fascination. The species that couldn't be scanned, that existed in contradictory states that rescued their own would-be invaders, was too interesting to simply avoid. But one question remained among all the alien species. If humans couldn't be understood, through technology, how could they ever truly be known? The answer would come from an unexpected source, and would transform galactic society forever. 10 years had passed since first contact. Diplomatic relations between humans and the many species of the Galactic Council existed but remained strained. The ban on scanning humans had created an atmosphere of uncertainty and mistrust. How could you form real alliances with beings you couldn't properly understand? Ambassador Kevin Stewart sat in his office on the human diplomatic station orbiting Centauri Prime. After years of struggling to make progress with alien representatives, he had come to a realization. The problem wasn't that aliens couldn't understand humans. It was that they were trying to understand humans the wrong way. He called an emergency meeting with his staff. "We've been doing this backward," he told them. "We keep trying to explain ourselves with words and data. But that's not how humans truly understand each other, is it?" His chief of staff, Maria Lopez, shook her head. "No, we understand each other. By living together, working together, sharing experiences." "Exactly," Kevin said, a new energy in his voice. "I have a proposal to take to the Galactic Council, something that might change everything." 3 weeks later, Kevin stood before the full Galactic Council. Hundreds of representatives from different species watched from their seats in the vast chamber. Some looked like humans, others were wildly different, from crystalline beings to creatures that seemed made of living gas. "Distinguished representatives," Kevin began, his voice calm but strong. "For 10 years we have tried to build understanding between our peoples, yet a gap remains. You cannot scan us with your technology, and our explanations have not satisfied your questions." Admiral Krell of the Dravak muttered something to a nearby representative. Many species still feared humans. "I propose a new approach," Kevin continued. "Not an exchange of information or technology, but an exchange of people. I propose a cultural exchange program, 50 human volunteers to live among alien worlds, and representatives from any willing alien species to live among humans." Shocked, murmurs filled the chamber. Such a thing had rarely been attempted between even the most similar species. "These representatives would not be there to spy or study," Kevin explained, "but to experience, to live alongside each other, work together, share meals and stories and challenges, to understand each other as individuals, not as data points." The debate lasted for days. Many species feared letting humans onto their worlds. Others worried about their own representatives living among such unpredictable beings. But in the end, curiosity won out. 10 species agreed to the exchange. 6 months later, the program began. 50 humans traveled to alien worlds, and representatives from 10 alien species came to Earth and human colonies. They would live together for one standard galactic year. Dr. Olivia Carter, now older but still passionate about her work, met with the alien representatives who had chosen to live on Earth. "The most important thing to remember," she told them, "is that no human is exactly like another human. We are not a monolithic species. Each of us is different." On alien worlds, the human volunteers faced many challenges. Different gravity, strange foods, cultural misunderstandings. But slowly, connections formed. A human engineer working alongside Centauri shipbuilders found ways to combine their technologies. A human doctor sharing techniques with Aluthi healers discovered new treatments for diseases that affected both species. On the Dravak homeworld, a human diplomat named Claire Bennett surprised everyone by adapting well to the warriors' harsh culture. When asked how she could appreciate both their combative traditions and also speak of peace, she simply said, "Being human means holding space for contradictions." On Earth, the alien visitors made similar discoveries. Trell Cover, now an ambassador, found himself invited to a human family's home for dinner. He watched in fascination as they argued politics one minute and laughed together the next. "How can you disagree so strongly and still care for each other?" he asked his host. The woman smiled. That's family. We don't have to agree on everything to love each other. This simple concept, that unity didn't require uniformity, was revolutionary to many alien cultures. After a year, the exchange participants returned home and shared their experiences. The reports transformed how the galaxy viewed humans. Yes, they were contradictory, existing in multiple states simultaneously. But this wasn't a flaw or a danger. It was the source of their adaptability and creativity. A new understanding began to emerge. Humans weren't mysterious because they were hiding something. They were mysterious because they truly did exist in a different relationship with reality than most species. The scanning ban remained in place, but for a new reason. It wasn't that scanning humans was dangerous. It was that technology simply wasn't the right tool for understanding them. The most advanced aliens in the galaxy had finally realized that some forms of knowledge couldn't be obtained through sensors and computers. In the decade that followed, human-alien relations flourished. The cultural exchange program expanded. Humans brought fresh perspectives to ancient alien problems. Aliens helped humans avoid mistakes they had made in their own histories. Admiral Krell, once the strongest voice against humans, found himself revising his opinion after a human saved his life during a diplomatic incident. They are beyond technological comprehension, he admitted in a council session, but not beyond reason. Tourist ships from across the galaxy began visiting Earth, despite the psychological discomfort many aliens experienced when faced with beings they couldn't categorize. Humans became known for their art, their music, their stories, all things that had to be experienced, not analyzed. Military vessels throughout the galaxy added a new protocol to their standard operations manual. In the event of encountering human battleships, do not scan. Open communications and negotiate. Human intentions cannot be determined through technology. On the 10th anniversary of the exchange program, Ambassador Kevin Stewart, now elderly but still sharp, gave a speech to a mixed audience of humans and aliens on Earth. The greatest barrier between species has always been the assumption that others think as we do, he said. The greatest bridge has been the willingness to experience life from another perspective. We may never fully understand each other, but in the attempt, we have found something greater than understanding. We have found respect. And that, most species agreed, was enough. The mystery of human nature remained unsolved in technological terms, but it no longer needed solving. The quantum paradox of humanity, existing in multiple states simultaneously, wasn't a problem to fix but a wonder to behold. As for the humans, they mostly found it amusing that they had frightened the most advanced species in the galaxy, simply by being themselves. As Captain Susan Miller, now retired, often joked, all those advanced aliens, scared of us because their scanners broke. Turns out the best technology for understanding others was never a scanner. It was simply taking the time to know them.